All right, everybody, welcome back. So now that we've finished up physical and chemical weathering, we've learned a little bit about how climate affects weathering. We're going to move on to what the end products are of all this weathering, and that's soil. So today's lesson's on soil. Now we're just going to touch the surface here, no pun intended. We're not going to go too deep. That might be something you could do in a soils class, for instance, in college. So soil itself, remember, soil is not just rocks. It's a combination of lots of other things too. It has the sediments in there, it has the rock, but it also has other minerals. It has dead stuff, which we call humus, which is organic material from biological activity. There's also H2O, some water, and there's gases. So all these things make up soil. And yes, there are some soils that are better than other soils as far as growing things are concerned. So here they are, kind of summed up in a pie chart. We have our regolith, which is just the rock part, and our organic material, the once living material, and material that's still alive too, bacteria and fungus, things like that. The bugs are in there too, really tiny things. And then our water and our gases. The bulk of soil you can see is 45% in this particular picture, regolith, or the rock part. But that can change. Those numbers can all change. Now soil, as you've probably found if you ever had to dig a post hole, that's one of the jobs I got as a kid. Always had to dig all the holes that we had on our property. That was my job to dig the hole. It always seemed like it was my job at least. But the deeper you go, the more you realize that soil has layers. And we call those layers horizons, soil horizons. These are layers that develop as a result of weathering of rock, the activity of biological organisms, living things, and the leaching out or the downflow of minerals and other materials when it rains and that water flows through the soil. And you can see on the left-hand side, we have our topsoil, we have our subsoil, and if we move this thing out of the way, you can see we have this part that's just partially altered parent material, mainly chunks of rocks. And then we have our bedrock, the unweathered parent material. And we're going to learn about these horizons in a moment, but I'll just quick sum it up. We have letters here, the O horizon. We're not going to get into too much. That's the very top layer of organic material up here. Then we have our A horizon, our E horizon. We're not going to get into too much too. But B horizon is definitely something that we're going to learn. And then our C horizon, which I mentioned was the partially weathered material, and then bedrock down here, where Fred and Barney live, bedrock. And you can see in this picture some definite dark material. There's some organic material here. So this could be like the organic part, maybe down to this layer right here would be A horizon. And perhaps this is the start of the B horizon here, and it works that way. All right, there's our A horizon. Once again. Our B horizon. Now, one thing about the B horizon, let me first pull out the C horizon here, is that the B horizon doesn't form after the A horizon. In fact, the way this order works is that first you have bedrock that's exposed. Pretend this stuff up here is not there anymore. It's not there yet. But you have that rock exposed, and water, wind, ice, weathering starts breaking down these rocks and making them into chunks. Well, eventually, those chunks start to have little things growing on them. And the second horizon to form after the C horizon, which is first, is the A horizon. This is second. I know it sounds kind of out of order, but first C, then A. And then over time, as rain washes the minerals downwards from this A horizon, Just picture it raining, washing these minerals out. It starts building up a thicker and thicker B horizon. So this B horizon is the third thing to form. First C, then A, then B. Okay, try to remember that. Okay, the size and thickness of each horizon depends on, and once again, it comes back to climate, how much vegetation and how many living things are active in that soil. That'll determine how thick it gets. How steep the slope is. Remember, we learned the term gradient earlier in the course. If it's really steep, those soils aren't going to stay there as long. And of course, how long this soil has been allowed to form, time. So younger soils are going to be thinner than older soils in a lot of cases. All right, let's see if this thing's working today. So elapsed time, 0 as we go through. We're advancing into 10 years of time. What's going on? The rock is weathering to regolith. We have our C horizon and our regolith, which is just the bedrock. Let's continue on. Now vegetation is invading. Organic matter starts to accumulate. So our A horizon is getting a little bit thicker. It's forming there. You can see the grass on the surface or whatever vegetation is on the surface. Continuing on. Now we can see it's even getting thicker than that. We have an organic layer on the very top. That's our O horizon. Our A horizon is still getting thicker. And now we see our first B horizon. The B horizon right here in this brown. It's not allowing me to draw on this, but you get the idea. It's forming last because our A is being washed down by rainfall. And it continues to thicken over time, getting more and more mature over the years. This is at the 10,000 year mark now. Lots of trees growing, all that material thickening things up. And there's our E horizon starting. We don't have to know as much about that, but essentially these clays are starting to form as silicate minerals wear down. And that's what the E horizon shows there. All right, moving on. So this is a very simplified picture here, but it's a good one to see. We have our person standing on solid bedrock, solid, and then over time, my marker is doing strange things today, but over time, we can see it starts to break down, little tiny pieces here. Okay, over more time. Now we have our, and by the way, this is the C horizon right there. Now we have our C and our A horizon. And then over even more time, we see all three horizons, the A, B, and C are formed. And the words for these horizons generally are topsoil, subsoil, partially weathered bedrock, or something that's like chunky, and then our regolith or solid bedrock right there. And there they are in photograph form. You can see that soil spade there, and they're digging through some of these layers. It looks like the A horizon way up top there where you can see the organic material, and then all that kind of light colored material there, those are minerals washed down from the A horizon. That's the B horizon. The C horizon, where would that be? You can probably surmise it's down below. We haven't dug down far enough to see the bedrock or the partially weathered rock. There's a picture showing the A horizon way up top, right by these bushes and trees. And the C horizon might be just below that. And then all this isn't really weathered much at all on the inside. That's the bedrock. I don't think this thing is working on us, so I'm going to bypass this. And soil erosion. You know, around here we have lots of farmers. And when it rains on a field without vegetation planted on it, we lose a lot of that topsoil. So one thing that farmers have learned is protect the topsoil. It's precious. And this is a fun fact here. Since 1776, the year America was born, the topsoil depth in the United States has decreased by approximately 35%. This means poor land use methods have cost us a valuable resource. When we get to another part of this unit, we're going to actually get deep into the Great Dust Bowl. And during that time period, parts of the United States in the Midwest lost lots of soil because of poor farming practices. And that is it for today. Short lesson.